seeing a few sights along the way. What do you think?
Very scenic. Very scenic with the mountains and lakes around here. We're driving through some grassy mountains right now. This rivals the Colorado Rockies. I'd say, and I've driven through the Colorados. They're nice, but this rivals that.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to the sequoia trees today. Grant's Grove. Recommend this way if there was a lot of snow. All these roads are windy and very narrow, so we lucked out with the weather. Here we are, Kings Canyon. General Grant Tree is 1,700 years old, and it weighs over 1,200 tons.
This thing is the second oldest tree in the world.
And is 268 feet tall.
We're at Grant's Grove, and this is General Grant's Tree, named after Ulysses S. Grant. This is a monster, over 2,000 years old. This tree was a sapling when Christ was born. And this grove is unbelievable. They got huge sequoia trees all over the place. Just when you thought you saw the largest, you run into the Grant's Tree. So yeah, unbelievable, nice little hike. And we're taking this thing. It's couple feet of snow here, but seem to be trails that are maintained, and this is unbelievable. Definitely recommend you get a chance to come out here and make the trip.
So when the trees fall, it takes a long time for them to decay. Oh, look at that. In the past, they acted as shelters for people and horses. Inside the middle of the tree. Built in 1872. A fireplace, a one-room cabin. Path is definitely icy. Got our hiking poles out, so that's helping. Look at these trees, they're just so big. All right, we're gonna do the North Grove loop, I guess. 1.7 miles. And maybe if we got time, we can do the Dead Giant loop.
We're on a side trail in Kings Canyon, and what do you think about these trees?
They're huge. Just look behind us. It's like, shoo.
Monstrous. And this isn't even General Grant or General Sherman. And this thing's got to be close to 2,000 years old. Unbelievable. They're all over the place.
So this gives you perspective.
What a great idea you had coming out to California. Had we not come out here at this time, we would not have this park to ourselves. Wintertime out here in the Sequoia Grove and Kings Canyon, unbelievable. We're not fighting traffic. We're not fighting tourists. We're not fighting for pictures. And yeah, in retrospect, this was the time to come out here. This was it.
All right, so you can see some of the trees were burned. definitely the fire damaged area. Can't imagine seeing these trees on fire. Wow. Yeah, this area, definitely a burn area. This will be our snacking log. Vito stepped right in there. I actually fell right in there. Dead Giant Loop is down this way to the right, Sunset Trail. And this just takes you back. We were hiking the Red Loop. Vito says the snowman's taking a leak. We are back off the North Grove Trail. And snowshoes would not be a good idea today, nor cross country. Micro spikes probably would have helped a little. It's kind of icy. And the trekking poles are a good thing. If I had to do things over again, I would get to the park earlier so that you can get more done. So we're wrapping up our Sequoia Kings Canyon visit. We'll be heading over to Yosemite tomorrow. So I wanted to get a recap from Vito, what he thought, what kind of pointers he might give others that are coming, and any learnings that you had.
Probably the best thing is to go on YouTube and see who's hiked the trails recently within the last 2 or 3 days to get the condition of the trails. National Park Service does a great job maintaining this place, and I didn't see hardly any litter. The trails are well marked, and do a great job.
So one of the things that I think I would do different is possibly look a little harder to see if there's any lodging up near Kings Canyon. So we had to do the ride up and the ride back, and that interfered a little bit with the amount of hiking that we could do for today. I really felt like we didn't get a good workout today, so I would have liked to have done a 5-mile hike, which we just didn't do today.
Yeah, from Sequoia entrance, south entrance, the ash entrance, to get to the Kings Canyon entrance off of 180, 1.5 hours, depending on which route you take. Now, that's a scenic view. It's a nice drive and a lot of things to see. So it ended up taking us 2 hours to get there and almost a little over 2 hours to get back because we stopped so many times to see a lot of stuff. Dry Creek Road, if you take Dry Creek Road,
very windy,
to get to the entrance of Kings Canyon, it's a beautiful scenic drive, and there's cattle ranchers all along that road.
So why don't you give a summary of what we ran into today and how you liked it?
Wow. The land of the giants. The land of the giants. When you think you've seen a big tree, then you walk up to the next grove and you see a bigger tree. And a bigger tree and something with a different trunk on it. I mean, all these trees are unique. They got their own shape. I mean, General Grant is a monster. And I'm sure Sherman is a monster too. But these things are just unbelievable.
How immense they are. You can actually walk through the center of some of these trees. So there was a tree down that's been down for a long time, and you could still walk through the center of it.
There's a live tree on the trail that you could just step into. And I mean, you could sleep inside this thing. You could pitch a tent inside of this tree and sleep inside this thing. It was just a monster, and there's a lot of them like that.
If you had to give any advice for anybody coming, what kind of advice would you give?
Well, first off, when you start calling down here and talking to the National Park staff, don't always believe everything they say. All right, there's a couple things that they threw us off on. All right, number one was the amount of snow and whether or not we need snowshoes or not. All right, so there was a major storm here between Christmas and New Year's, 3 feet, which is a lot of snow. But over the course of 3 weeks, people have hiked all these trails and packed all that snow down to the point where you don't need snowshoes. All you needed was a nice pair of hiking boots. All right, let me talk about snowshoe rental for a minute, because it's another one of my beefs of when I tried to call here and find out what's going around. So, and I called both the Buckeye and the National Park Service, and they said, no, we don't rent snowshoes. You got to go on a tour with us and we'll give you some snowshoes, which I understand. But she said, if you want snowshoes, the nearest place you can get snowshoes from is Fresno. Fresno is about half an hour northwest of the park. And that's not necessarily true, because when we got up to Kings Canyon, we found out we could rent snowshoes right there at the market. All right, so
we even asked down here in Sequoia yesterday if there were snowshoe rentals up in Kings Canyon, and they had said no.
They said no. Chances are you won't have to do a lot of snowshoeing if you stick to the major trails. But if you get off the major trails, you want to do some snowshoeing. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to open up a snowshoe business, open it up right here at the entrance to the park. And you could probably make some money, because they're sending you all over the place for snowshoes and you can't get them.
So I would suggest, if you are looking for snowshoes and you're not sure where to get them, go ahead and give the market a call up in Kings Canyon before you head up there.
If you want snowshoes down here in Sequoia, I have no idea where to get them from.
Oh, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. So we were able to hike North Grove Loop about 2 miles, and nobody was there, and we didn't need snowshoes. And here we are, January 10th or 11th, and it was relatively packed down. So not all these park rangers are out there on foot hiking these trails every day, so they don't know the current conditions. All right, so trust me, I'm from Buffalo, New York, and I know how snow packs down. And once you get a ton of people hiking on this stuff, it'll pack down and you can walk over it.
So I will say it was slippery, so I think having the hiking poles helped me at least. And I would actually have worn some micro spikes just to grip the snow, because it was packed down pretty good.
Some advice I got to give you is whether or not you need tire change down here in January. Yes, I can see some times when you need tire change, but when the weather is nice and the roads are clear, you don't need these things. Trust me, I'm from Buffalo, New York. I drive in the snow all the time, and I've never had tire change on in Western New York, and we've had some hellacious snowstorms. So it's a racket, all right? I think it's a racket that the state of California and the park system have come up with. That's my opinion. Vito Czyz, my opinion.
I'll give mine in a second.
$150 for a pair of tire chains you're never going to use.
All right, $150 is steep. You'll get $40
$40 back. So you put them in your back seat of your car. You buy them for $150. You get a $40 back 2 days later when you turn them in.
All right, so I disagree a little bit with Vito as far as if the roads are really bad. I do think the chains would come in handy, even if you have four-wheel drive.
Let's put it this way. Here's a scenario we ran into. We get here the day before, they say you need chains. All right, so we go over to the next market. We buy chains. I buy chains for $150. I drive into the entrance point of Sequoia. Park ranger says you don't need chains. I take the chains back and tell the vendor we don't need chains. They say, oh, we didn't know that. We can sell you chains either way. So she gives me a refund on the chain. So I saved $150 because there's not a communication link between the people that sell the chains and the National Park Service. When a National Park Service declares that you need chains, then you need chains. The vendors don't care. They'll sell you chains anytime, anywhere. That's money in their pocket.
All right, the only word of caution is if for some reason you're up here and it has been snowing or there is going to be snow, you would need to have your chains in the car as a precaution. It is a state law. It is.
State law, but let me tell you, it's a nice racket.
We had a great time. Wish we had more time to spend there. I would have liked to have done a little bit more trails. So that was my only regret.
That's it?
That's it.